Welcome to Healing Whole, the podcast. I'm your host, Callie. I'm a health and wellness expert, a certified personal trainer, and holistic health coach. I also happen to be extremely passionate about holistic healing. With over 13 years of experience, I've worked with clients from all walks of life. I also know a healing and holistic lifestyle can be a little overwhelming. I'm here to break it down for you and take you on my journey to healing whole. Remember, the materials and content within this podcast are intended as general information only and are not to be considered a substitute for medical advice or treatment. Okay. Hello and welcome to Healing Whole, the podcast, episode 4. I am here today with Sean McHenry, also known as the Rap Master. He owns and operates his business independently since February of 2023, which he does graphic design and a lot of other things that we're going to talk about today.
That's right.
He also runs a recording studio called Corrector Studios, which is something we're going to talk about. This episode is going to be a little bit different than normal because normally we just talk about healing. We do talk about owning a business and running a business, but I'd like to shift it a bit into why it ties together and why it's so important. So how are you today?
I am doing very well, actually.
Yeah?
I had a very full day of a lot of work, and I just did an installation for the stretch zone.
How was that?
It was a lot of fun, actually. It was very smooth. Everything came out nice. I kept my cool. People were there. The work got done very well. They were happy when I left. It was an all-around aces of a day.
Cool.
Yep.
So when you say installation, what do you mean?
Well, what happens in this situation today, I was given some graphics, and I do this often. I was given graphics from a company, and they just hired me to do the installation alone. So that means I just got the prints, and I put them on the wall and made the customer happy. And that's all I did. Normally, I would go the full gambit from the door to the closing door.
Okay.
I get to know you. I get to see what you want. I make you a proof. I make you the prints. I do the install, and I take you from top to bottom. But in this situation, I'm just hired to do the install, and I love that too.
So you have both aspects of it.
Right.
How long have you been doing graphic design as a whole? Not your business, but just in general. The graphic design, installation, all that stuff. I always just say graphic design because I don't know what else an installer?
Yeah, well, as far as just the design aspect is concerned, I'm an artist from like being a little kid. Like my mom was an artist, my dad was an artist, so I kind of have the gene to be an artist. But if you're just talking technically on the computer and designing graphics for people, I really started to get the skills to do that in 2009.
Okay, so a long time.
Yes,
No.
a long time.
And then you started independently your own business in February of 2023, which when this podcast comes out, it'll be the same year. But if you're listening to it in the future, it'll be obviously a little bit further than that. So you've almost been in business independently for a year.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And it's been a very exciting year. It taught me a lot how to be a self-employed business owner, and I appreciate every morsel of hard work and anything negative that came my way, I learned to overcome at the same time.
What made you want to do your own business?
Well, I guess it was a kind of a culmination of a lot of different things. Mainly it was the realization of like society is just too expensive to work for anyone else. So we'll call it like this. We'll call that like 40%. 20% was I wanted to do it because I wanted to just work for myself, right? So that's 40, that brings it to 60. And then the last 40% was because I wanted to make sure I would have enough money to be able to afford my new son.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, so it was a really big driving factor. I don't like to ask for help. My whole life, I've always just kind of done the work myself, and no one's really ever helped me. So I just figured this would be the next logical step in my life to just start my own business and make it work, and it's been fabulous.
And it's something you love to do also.
That's right.
Which I think makes it so much easier.
Yeah, it does. I know we've talked about what at hand helps is when you are fully engaged with something that you love, and you sit there and you find yourself like immaculately into your job, into your work, and it just feels really, really good, that passion to do your job. It makes the fact that you're making money not the big deal. You don't care about that so much. You actually enjoy your life while you do the thing you do.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes it amazing.
This is a interesting question, and I don't know if it's going to make you uncomfortable, but do you ever feel guilty making money off doing something you love? Or do you feel good about it?
I feel good about it. I feel like it's the right way to make money.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems like you can see maybe people in life, they scheme, they lie, they cheat, they steal to get away with making money. Like I don't look at money like that. I look at money as something that I'm able to make that benefits me. Like I use money to my advantage. You know?
Like for the betterment of you, which is also the betterment of your family, which is then the betterment of everything as a whole.
Yeah. And the best part is like the money that I get, it's money that is appreciative money. Like I made the person happy with the job I did. So I feel like I deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like it's always like a gift, you know? I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Yeah. I looked at it for a long time. I felt guilty making money off what I loved, but I think a lot of that was an imposter syndrome kind of perspective that I was looking at myself. I didn't think I was qualified enough to make money doing what I love until someone called me out and was like, "Oh, so you're an expert at what you do." And I was like, I never thought about it like that before. And then I thought to myself, I am an expert. I've been doing this for over a decade. If I'm not an expert by now, I should probably quit.
Right. Yeah, I've heard the same thing about, you know, if you spent X amount of hours, I think it's like 10,000 hours on any one specific thing, you're an expert. And also if you basically get paid to do it at all, you're an expert, you know?
I don't think that there is. I work with a lot of clients that feel underqualified to get paid for what they do because they don't have certifications or pieces of paper and things like that. I don't think that's important. But that took me a long time to figure out that that's not important.
And as far as like, you know, qualifications and everything, I've always been like boots to the ground, real world experience qualifications.
Which I think is super important. But I think that paper and certifications are also important. But I think the experience, for me at least, in my life is more important than all the other stuff, which I'm not putting that stuff down. I'm just saying I just am a little bit different in my perspective of how I look at my business.
Right. I understand that, like the predicate to be something like in your field, you need the papers on the walls to kind of back up, and people will see that as a visual mental support to understand and know that you are the scholar that they're looking for. And I think with something like me in my field, it's just like, I got dreads, I got tattoos. Like, that's kind of what you want.
Does that qualify you?
It does. It does. In this day and age, it does, because being more of the black sheep gives more of that free will, I think, that more of what people want, because they don't want the cookie cutter kind of thing sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. So were you, go back to February of this year.
Right.
Were you scared?
I was. At first I was, and I did have a full-time job, and it was a great paying job as far as, you know, hourly wages concerned. But what was happening was I was doing like work on my own, and I thought to myself, well, I'm making, you know, this amount doing something I like to do. I'm on my own. I have my own hours. I feel so independent. This feels so good to be me, that my full-time 40-hour-a-week job was interfering with, and you know this feeling, I know you do, with what I really want to be and who I want to be. It wasn't aligning with my true self. And I think you could probably continue that thought.
Yeah, that's how I feel and felt many times in my life when I tried to work for someone else. Even though I loved my job, most of the jobs I've had I've loved, because I can always find good in a job. There's always purpose in some kind of job, for me at least, in what I do, because I wouldn't do the job if I didn't find purpose in it. But it didn't feel right at a certain point because I was meant to be doing my own thing. And not because that job wasn't valuable or important. It was just I have more impact to make in my own way.
Right.
On my own time, in my own business.
Right.
But it is super scary.
It is super scary because you're leaving something behind that is always going to be there. You're leaving a commitment. You're leaving behind that bi-weekly paycheck or weekly paycheck that you know will take care of your bills no matter what, but at the expense of so much of your time. And that's what kind of like made me flip. Like I said, no, I don't want to waste all this time when I could use this time more beneficially. I'll have more time for me, and I'll spend less time working so hard for someone else's dream.
Yes.
And I'll just fulfill my own.
Which, you know me a little bit, and I worry about what I say sometimes. So this is not to say that having a job and working for someone else is not a great thing. It is. It's not for everybody, though, just like owning a business is not for everybody. So I just want to make that very clear. But, yeah, to what you were saying, I don't know. It's scary, but it's so... It's actually, for me, more scary to stay in a position where I'm not fulfilling my needs and what feels good for me.
Yeah.
So as scared as I am to step out and go full-time back into my business, which is what I'll be doing in the new year, is more scary for me not to do it, because then I feel like I'm wasting time. Yeah. I'm wasting my time, my energy on this earth. And I feel bad saying that still, because I loved my job, but I just need to do my own thing for me, because I have people that I need to work with and I need to impact, and then they need to go impact people. Right. And that's what I want to do in the long run, and feel like I have purpose every single day. And with my business, that's what I have. I have purpose every day. Right. And I was getting to a point where I was going to a job that I loved, but I was starting to resent it because it was taking away time from what I needed to be doing in my business, which felt really icky. Right. So, yep. I don't know. But it is definitely scary. Yeah. It's hard to turn that scariness off.
It was. And you know what, though? When you find out your first couple weeks that you are making it, all that scary goes away. Absolutely goes away.
Did you have anybody in your life that was like, oh, you can't do that? Or was everybody pretty supportive?
The only person that said that you can't do that was the people I left behind who I worked for, because you know what? They're my competition. Yeah. And that's what they are going to say. And that's pretty much what happened. They didn't want to believe in me. Yeah. You know, because I was believing in myself. And then they couldn't use me to their advantage anymore. So therefore they turned on the I don't think you can do it switch.
And that's probably just them also being insecure in their own self. They're losing a good employee that does good work for them, and that's scary for them too. Right.
You know, and maybe it wasn't so heavy-handed as I might be painting it out, but that would be probably the only like weird vibes I've gotten from the changeover.
It's interesting for me because I've gone in and out of owning my own business. I've always owned my own business for 13 years, but I've gone in and out of full-time in my business. So when I moved to Florida, I stopped everything completely for a year. I didn't do anything. I didn't even really post on social media anymore because I needed to redefine what my business was, because it became, which I also think is okay. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but because I was coming from a place of need, I need to make money instead of I want to impact people's lives, it didn't feel good anymore. So I had to step back away from it and reevaluate why it shifted from a place of love to a place of like misalignment. Right. And I always want to come from a place of love in my business because I do love what I do. I love absolutely everything about it, and it wasn't lining up. But also, I realized I didn't really love myself that much at the time, so I couldn't really love anything else, be a person or a business or anything at all, and give it the energy that it needed. So I needed to take time and step back, which is actually pretty good as to how I can lead into healing here.
Right.
I needed to take time and step back into my own healing and loving myself again in order to come back better as a business owner that creates a lot of impact in their business or through their business and leads with love always. Because did you ever get like that where in your business or that at a point where you felt like I'm doing it because I need money, not because I love it?
Yeah, and that happens from time to time, and that's because, you get the compounding bills you haven't paid yet, or you haven't been paid, and it feels heavy because you do need to take care of responsibilities, and you haven't had a chance to. So then you're sort of desperately looking for something, and you got to make sure that you got some jobs to do, and things are lined up, and it can feel like that. But luckily for me, when I go and I do the job, all that kind of goes away, and I still appreciate the art of what I do, and it makes the whole thing feel a lot less heavier than I thought at first.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always loved what I did, but it just was more, I had a more overwhelming feeling of it became a job more so than something. It became a job. And I think there's a difference in being a job and being a passion, something you love. And I didn't want it to be a job, so I stepped back. And I didn't come back until I was fully ready to be open and authentic with my truths and who I am and what I want for my business. And also I wasn't ready to come back until I actually loved myself so I could love other things again. So that took a lot of healing, which then I will lead into, do you think that a healing journey has anything to do with running a successful business?
I think it's 100% a healing journey when you start to run your own business, because it's like every other lesson in life. You keep on moving up the ladder of success, because you learn from all the times you spent doing the hard work, and then you get to a point where you feel like you have all the knowledge and the courageousness to take on things that other people won't. And now you have a skill set that no one else has. So now you have the confidence to go in to do the really hard things. So all these little steps happen, right? And then at the same time, you're trying to better your foundation of your skill set, so you better the foundation of yourself. So like me, for example, I lost a lot of weight on keto diet, right? And then because I wanted to make sure that I can move around easily to be able to do my job, and that started to happen. So then I got past that point, and then and then even before that, I quit smoking, and I quit drinking, I quit doing all these things that would kind of stubbornize my development. So from back here to where I am today, it's been nothing but a spiritual awakening and healing while I became the business owner I am today.
So you definitely feel like it makes you better qualified in your personal life to run a business that
I think
serves you.
Yes, I do. And I think there's different levels to what I'm saying again. So you have a job and you learn your job, and then like you said before, you go to your job and you try to make money, right? And you look at it and it kind of brings you down a little bit. So that's stage 0 to 1. And then you go to your job and you know how to do your job well, right? So then it doesn't really feel like a job, but you still kind of need to make money. And then you kind of graduate past that, and you get to the part where you go to your job and it's easy. You know, the job doesn't seem hard at all. And then when you get to that point, that's when you know that you're ready to do your own thing. If whatever it is, it doesn't matter who you are or what you've been trying to be. When you know that you can do your job easy, you should do it by yourself and start your own business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I never had that. I just kind of jumped. I don't know. I just jumped in. I was just really liked it, and I jumped in. But that's a good way to look at it, and a good way to put it. I started when I was 20, so I started very young, running a business. So if you don't do the crazy, ridiculous things that I've done and start when you're 20, when you have no money, and somehow open a business, make it happen, but you don't have to have money to start a business. I shouldn't say that, but It's helpful.
It definitely helps because you need to buy the laptops
Yeah.
and have a place and
Yeah.
some materials.
It's amazing how you can make stuff happen though.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're determined.
That's right.
And what was I persistent?
Persistence. Yes.
Like with the car door.
Yeah. yes. You had all
Very
people.
persistent.
That was such a glorified way to look at how I think you approach life is you are persistent and it benefits everyone around you. I think it does.
I hope.
I think it does. I've seen it happen. So,
It does get car doors open.
yeah. There's been a couple times where you have actually impressed me with the foundation of who you are.
Yeah.
Because of your skill set and your determination. And it's just you're very impressive, Callie.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So you going back to, I don't take compliments, so obviously doesn't want me to change the subject. Going back to healing in business. So you would say your healing journey started before you started your business, like.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I mean, I guess we can kick it back to when I quit smoking.
How long ago was that?
About 8 years ago now.
Okay.
Maybe going on 9 years.
And that was like the turn on of you starting to
be a better me.
Okay.
In general, right? I was working 9 to 5, and I just had like a really minimal paycheck, but I was content and I was happy.
Yeah.
And then like my how do I say this? My life at home wasn't so great.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to change that. So I started changing my life at home, and then eventually it just kind of worked its way around everything else in my life.
Like waterfall, I always say.
Right.
So you started with not smoking,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just like kind of went into other facets and categories of your life.
Yep. So like I hung around with people. I stopped hanging around with people that were bad influences, right?
Didn't serve you.
Yeah. And I started to go to do things and go to places that were better for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't go to bars. I don't necessarily drink. I started to go into the Cave & Crane bars because I found that there's a network of people in those places that benefited everything I believed in.
Yeah.
So where I found a home in a kava bar, maybe all the other people that I used to hang out with are still finding homes at the bar downtown.
Which is okay if that's what they like.
That's right.
And if that's what lines up with their life and feels good for them.
That's absolutely right.
But it's the same with, I think, with me, it didn't feel good anymore doing that. It wasn't serving me and didn't feel like it was lining up with. I have this new thing where I use the word icky a lot. And because I can't find another word for it. But if anything feels icky in any way, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
And this isn't new for me because I only stopped drinking, I think, 45 days ago. But so that was the last part of my healing journey. I guess that's why I'm telling you this. Not that it's the last. There'll be something else that comes up and then something else that comes up because I always believe you're always healing and you're not healed unless you're like going to your Buddha.
Right.
Which I don't ever think I'll get there unless something crazy happens. But your back hurt.
No, I'm okay.
No. I'm the most casual podcast host ever. I will stop and talk about something completely different.
That's okay. That's okay. My back's feeling pretty good. It's been a little stiff, but I've been okay today.
Okay. This is the last portion of my healing journey that I was waiting for a really long time. Which I also think helps benefit my business and helps me thrive more in that category. But I've known, and maybe I'll ask you too about this, but I've known I was supposed to stop drinking for a really long time. Like, I knew it. I had a download, like a spiritual download, and if you've listened, I don't know that I ever told you about my spiritual awakening, but if you listen to this podcast at all in the past, I talk about like my spiritual awakening and things like that.
Right.
But that's when I started to call them downloads, which is just messages I get or ideas I get from a higher power.
Absolutely.
Whatever I believe in.
Right.
But I always knew I was supposed to quit drinking for like the last 5 years, I'd say. And I never would listen, but I knew it. I could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like literally a voice in my head saying, if you would just stop doing this thing that is not serving you in any way, shape, or form, and this is not to say that drinking is bad, it's just not good for me, that you will have everything that you want in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear it consistently and over and over. It was like a broken record.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, all right, I'm quitting. It's like that.
Yeah.
That after you get drunk and you're hungover and go, I'm never fucking drinking again. I'm never drinking again. I don't know how many times I said that. And then 2 days later, I'd be at the bar.
All right.
And until recently, I was living in such an authentic truth, pretending to be this like health, not that health coaches can't drink, but pretending to be this person that was spiritually aligned and not listening to the one message that kept coming down to me for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And when I stopped drinking, like what you just said about you met people and places and things like that.
Mm-hmm. That were more lined up with what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Right.
When I stopped drinking, the most aligned people, places, and experiences started happening to me. Mm-hmm. And also, that's when I got the courage to do my business full time again.
Okay.
So it took me to finally, it was like that I don't know why it was so hard for me to listen. Because it was such an identity that I grew up with.
Right.
I think is different for you, though.
Well, no, because I've also had the same type of download. And I've knew that like a little inkling for me to change my habits and my lifestyle that like always nudged against my shoulder, and I would like kind of turn a cheek to it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, well, because I don't want to be, maybe I didn't want to do it at that time, or I just didn't kind of believe it. But overall, I realized like when I did decide to listen to it, like I felt the same way. Like I felt like things started to kind of like become a little bit better and easier for me.
Yeah.
So like that's the best part of it, is knowing that like you can listen to the voice and feel like that download is worth it. And I've came from a completely straight edge childhood, and then
explain what straight edge is, because I don't think everybody understands that, because I didn't know what it meant.
Okay, well, straight edge is when see, I was kind of lucky. That straight edge, the basics is you don't do any drugs, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do drugs, and some people say you don't have sex, right? So that's like kind of like the foundation of it all. And I figured all this out when I was like 14, 15, 16, going to these hardcore shows, and everybody would rock X's on their hands, and they were all straight edge kids, and it was like a unified gang of everyone that was like clean, you know. And it's the opposite of everywhere else in the world. Like, how often do you find a gang of clean people that care about their bodies and their lives and the world around them?
You don't find that
anywhere.
Often, ever.
You know what I mean? And then that went on to extensions of like vegan straight edge and Krishna vegan straight edge and all these like it kind of a big honeypot of all kinds of goodness, you know, where the hardcore music was like screaming, but really the underlying tone was a positive message, you know, and like that's kind of how I came up as being like a straight edge kid. And then when I turned 21, you know, legally, hey, I'm 21 now, I can drink, so I tried to drink, right? And then whatever, and then, you know, everything in the world I did, now I'm back to the same person I was when I was 16 years old.
So it's like full circle?
I did a full circle. And I honestly feel like I've done that on purpose, just to have the knowledge of both sides of the fence so I can relate to everyone around me.
I was going to say, you're probably one of the most understanding people I've ever met in my life.
I think that's a virtue I had to fulfill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
To notice that.
Yeah. That is a good way to look at it, because you could look at it from two different perspectives, that it was, you needed to do that full circle, or you could be pissed at yourself for, oh my God, it took all these years and now I'm just back to the, you know what I mean? It's like you're grateful for your journey, as opposed to being like ungrateful, I guess would be another word for it.
You know what? And also on the pact I made with myself to do this 360, I've done it with my body as well. Like, whether it's drugs or it's gaining weight and then losing weight. I went from skinny to big to skinny again, you know, or fit, or however you want to say it. And the same thing with, you know, this to that. It's back to being, you know, straight edge.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, I mean, it just feels good that the bottom line is knowing that I have full and total control of my life.
Yes.
Which is pretty epic.
It is.
If you think about it like that.
Also, it's so epic and scary for me. Because this is the first time, I'm scared of everything apparently today, but this is the first time in my life that I have full control over everything in my life. Mm-hmm. So I don't have anybody else to blame but myself if I fuck up.
Well, yes.
Or when I fall. When I fall, because inevitably everybody falls down.
Well, honestly, in my opinion, if you keep on the track that's true to yourself, you realize you don't really fall down. You just trip up and then you pick yourself up right away. Yeah. You don't really hit the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's also going to be there's going to be people there to help you up. So you don't really go the full way down. You only just maybe hiccup.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's less scary to look at it that way too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is genuinely the first time in my life that I have full control over my life, and it's a cool feeling.
Yeah.
But it's very unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And it's like...
It's kind of lonely being at the top, right?
Maybe. It feels weird. It feels weird. I don't know how to explain it. It feels weird, but it feels good, and I'm proud of myself. Mm-hmm. It feels foreign. That's what I should say.
Right.
It feels foreign because I'm not used to 33 years old, and I've never had full control over every aspect of my life, which is funny because I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
But I never had full control over my life because I let other factors or things control it, either it be alcohol or family members or drugs or whatever it was. So, yeah, but now when I trip, I'll just trip. I won't fall.
Right.
I won't fall.
Yep. You'll have plenty of helping hands there. Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. But
it's a nice little innuendo.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have, so you said you have downloads.
Yeah.
So did you have a spiritual awakening?
I've had a couple different things in my life that could be considered a spiritual awakening, or it could be considered like something way beyond that. All I know is that at this point in my life, I am so humbled to be here, and I can't expect anything else but the unexpected at this point. So I like to know that life is still a mystery. Maybe I'm in control, but at the same time, I feel like I'm not. And I think that's important to respect, like, the unexpected.
Yeah. Do you feel that part of you ties into your business? At all?
No.
Doesn't connect?
No, not that part. Not that part. Because a lot of the foundation, like we've already talked about, is just is a stability I like to keep. And that stability is like the ground that keeps me, like, the president of my own company.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Like, I can't deviate from that. So, like, I'll always be straight edge from here on out. Like, I've already decided that. Like, that's written in stone. Like, the message is written in the sand.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I walk with my own resolve.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I've been making TikToks. It's been fun. But
they're good TikToks.
And a lot of them are positive. I'm just trying to keep positivity in everyone's eye. But the spiritual part was that, and the part of the pride I keep is separate. Like maybe they do kind of collide here and there, but the spiritual part's different for me because I think I'm always on this quest to figure out the truth about like what life really is when it comes to the spiritual part. When it comes to the everyday ins and outs of like what I should do to keep my reality functional and keep things around me continually happy on an everyday basis, like that part I kind of have ironed out.
Okay.
But the bigger questions, I still think I go into my spirituality to try to find answers.
Yeah.
And those are like, I hope for downloads and I look for hope in things that I don't really know about still. Like whether it's like, I have so many different theories about what life is that I'm still kind of at a loss. I don't know the true answer. You know what I mean?
I don't know if anybody does.
I'm sure we're all looking for it.
Yeah. Or unless you live in a bubble like me.
Well, maybe. You gotta,
I live in less of a bubble now, I think.
yeah.
I'm
But-
trying.
Yeah, but I think overall, I think like the fundamental like thing I realized, the essence of life is probably the fact that we are inquisitive in nature. If we weren't, if we didn't question everything, then we wouldn't have the scope to realize that we're even here, right?
Yeah.
So to keep asking questions and being inquisitive, I think, is the reason that there's the spark of life at all.
You're especially inquisitive. Like, more so than probably any other human being I've ever met in my entire life.
Well, I mean, I try to ask the right kind of questions at the right time, rather than just bark out anything in the middle of the room. I'd rather sit in the corner, understand what's happening around me, and then talk to the person who made the most sense.
Yeah.
And see if I can actually get some sort of understanding out of them that changes my fabric of my reality.
Yeah.
You know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to ask you other questions that don't have anything to do with what I'm going to ask you next. But okay, so you said that you lost a lot of weight.
Yes. I was 375 and now I'm like 220, 215.
Okay. So I asked you early, I asked you if you were scared to start your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were brave
Yeah.
starting your own business, I would say.
I would say so.
Do you think that it took bravery to admit that you needed to lose weight and then lose weight?
In a sense, it did.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was going to be up against. I didn't know if I could do it. But I guess it didn't matter. I was going to try. And I had some help. I had people who said, hey, man, keto works. Check this out. And they brought me food shopping.
Oh,
and they
good.
Said, yeah, they were like, here,
I didn't
get
know
this,
that.
this, and this.
Yeah.
And it helped. Absolutely 100% helped me become like what the staple should be at home and become those foods instead of the foods I was used to.
Yeah.
So I integrated that into my diet and it made such a difference, you know, but it took somebody that knew I fell down to pick me up a little bit.
You tripped.
I did. It was a very, very big trip. I almost hit the ground all the way because I almost wound up with diabetes.
Yeah.
I started to get nerve damage, like when, what's that? Neuropathy.
Yeah.
So
That's scary.
things weren't looking good for me.
Is that what pushed you to lose weight?
The last thing was my first anxiety attack I ever had in my life. And it was because I didn't like how I felt in my own skin.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was like trapped in a car and I couldn't reverse to get out of a spot because there was somebody behind me. And then the whole fact of like, I just felt trapped.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to ever feel that again. And I knew the first thing I could do was change how I felt inside. And I did.
Okay.
Yep.
So I asked you that because do you think that you being brave enough to start to lose weight kind of played okay, I don't know how to word this question. Do you think it's tied in at all to you start like being brave enough to start your own business? Like it was a similar kind of bravery, a completely different kind of bravery? Maybe a little bit of both.
It was actually easier to start to lose weight.
Really?
Yeah. To actually make the jump to leaving a 9-to-5 that I knew was completely on lock, that would make my life like errorless, so to speak. And knowing that I was giving that facet up, I think that's probably like the hardest thing to leave behind was that.
Okay.
Because there's a comfort in that. And I was going into the unknown. But I did it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard other people talk about that, and they say it doesn't matter if you have the idea and you know it's going to be better for you, you do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. So if you want to jump in today or a week from now, it doesn't matter. You just got to do it.
Yeah. That was me with smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kept saying, well, I'll do it when I'm ready. I'll do it when I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I was never going to be ready. I just needed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And now that everybody on this podcast knows that I used to be a smoker, That's something else I hid for a long time.
Right.
But I needed to just do it and like stop waiting for the right time to do it, which also with my business I needed to just do it and stop waiting for the right time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And in any aspect of my healing journey, I needed to stop waiting for the right time to. I've always been into going to the gym and stuff, and eating, but the spiritual healing and the mental healing I needed to get into more.
Right.
I needed to just do it.
Right.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
Yeah, you should have asked me about my music.
Okay.
I have a studio and I've been in a billion bands.
Okay, so I was waiting kind of because I wanted to get more in depth about like your rap master business, like what you do, and then I wanted to ask about that. But I could have forgotten, so I'm glad you reminded me.
Yeah, the music stuff. I think music is more spiritual to me than sometimes being in the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I lose myself in the songs.
So what you do a lot with music.
Yes.
So I touched on Corrector Studios, right? Corrector Studios. What is that?
Well, at first it was a place for me just to get out all the songs I always wanted to make. And then it turned into me going online and learning as much as I possibly could about music production, sound audio engineering, and all that, and put that into one big ball and called it Corrector Studios. And then I would have people over and I'd record people rapping. I'd record people like playing folk punk stuff. Like
there's folk punk music?
Gutter Love. I recorded Gutter Love. Our friend Alan, who's in Traders, he does another project called Gutter Love.
And it's folk punk.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Why have you not shown me that?
Because you know
I love folk music and punk music.
You would love it. It's so cool. It's such a one-of-a-kind type of thing, too.
Yeah.
And he had, I think, 12 or 13, 14 different instruments.
Wow.
So, yeah, like people would come in, special guests would come into the studio and record violin parts,
that's
all
crazy.
kinds of banjo parts, all kinds of stuff. So that's just like one little thing, and then it'd be like one day I'd have a full band come by and record like a metal track. Another day I would have like rappers come over and lay fire lyrics over a beat they'd have.
Yeah.
So
if someone wanted to make music, they could come to you and you could help them do that.
That's right.
Like create a song.
That's right.
Do they have to know how to play instruments?
Well, if they come to me and they don't, and they just say, I want you to help me make them, like whatever's in their mind, I can do that.
Like, for instance, I'm really good with words, but I have no clue how to play instruments, and I cannot sing anymore. But I want to make a song. I don't want to right now, but maybe in the future I do.
To answer your question, yes. If you could hum me at least something to start with, I can make you a song.
And that, you do that on the side of your rap master business.
So yeah, it would be. It's more or less like on the weeknights or on the weekends kind of thing.
Which one do you like better?
Well, I mean, I like.
Or do you like them both?
I like them both.
Okay.
Because I like to do things.
Do you like
in my
my
life.
whisper? Because I didn't want.
I like to do things in my life that I love, right? And I love to help people put a smile on their face because they can say, "Hey, I work over here. Check out my sign," right? Like the sign for this place we're in right now.
Which we're actually right now in Just Velocity Studios.
That's right.
Which I'm very happy that we got to come here and film this.
Yes.
And record this.
Absolutely magnificent.
But you made the sign for them.
I did.
Yeah. Which is cool that you get to see that on the wall and everybody gets to see that when they come in here. And it's a really good sign.
So, love that. And then I love to be in the studio and I can help somebody like you come up with a song because I feel I'm a good producer, right? Like, which means it doesn't just mean like I can hit levels. I can help you create like what DJ does. Like I can help you like make it real.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like the drums, the guitars, the bass, the singing, the editing.
But you can literally make a song out of nothing. Like I know people make songs out of, that sounds stupid. You made a song the other day and you don't even own a piano. Do you own a piano?
No, I don't own a piano.
And there was a piano in the song.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there was.
Wasn't there?
There was. Yes,
okay.
There was, actually.
And you can literally create it out of nothing.
Well, I mean, there's plugins, there's samples, and that's where you get those sounds from. If
But
you
like, I
have a
don't
real
have to be
piano.
I don't have to be like a seasoned guitar player or artist.
No.
I
In
could
this point in time, with all the VST plugins, there's so many different versions. You can have guitars, bass, drums, pianos, everything you want under the sun as a plugin, and we can make whatever you want come to life.
Do you think it sounds better one way or the other, or they sound equally as good?
Well, it depends on your preference, but in my opinion, everything that is quote unquote air quotes fake sounds just as good as real nowadays. That's the level of comparison.
Yeah.
It sounds just like a real guitar. Like I just laid some tracks using the Kojira plugin. Kojira is a French band for Godzilla.
Okay.
They're amazing. The guitar plugin sounds like amazing. Like it's so realistic.
Yeah.
And it's just easy. But I guess my point is, I can pull this stuff out of you.
Yeah,
Like
you're really good at because you're inquisitive.
Right. And I won't settle for inadequacy either. Like if you're telling me you want to do something, I'll either say, hey, let's lean into maybe making it sound this way because I think it might sound a little better. And that might be a part of me, but I'm always going to go to what you want and then try to help you make your best version of what you want the best it can be.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
So is there anything else with Corrector Studios? You make music, you can help because you help. So Just Velocity Studios and you both helped me make my intro to this podcast. So if you liked the intro to the podcast, I'm very lucky that I had both help me.
There you go.
So you can do stuff like that too.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is cool.
Yeah, voiceovers. I have these same mics at home, these Shure SM7Bs. The same mics that Michael Jackson had.
Oh, really?
That's how they got famous, because Michael Jackson used them.
For what?
This
podcast
this
or
diaphragm here is he's on stage.
Oh.
And there's an EQ curve on the back that helps, like, you can change the, so you could really, like, kind of like, if somebody has a low baritone voice, you just change the EQ and it'll even it out.
Okay.
So when it goes into the board, it'll sound good.
Okay. That's cool. I had no idea.
Yeah. I think on
me.
yours you have a higher, actually I think we kind of kept yours mid. But anyways.
On this?
Yeah. On mine.
You're okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what else about music?
Well, what's even more important is going back to the spirituality part and the healing part is that once I pick up a guitar, because I love playing guitar, that I get lost, everything goes away. Just like when I do like a car rap or something, I just get lost, everything goes away. And I find myself immersed in just being creative and loving sounds, playing acoustic or electric. I prefer electric, which I haven't even played my electric guitar yet, right? But yeah, like totally love it. I love to be creative. I love to hear it chug. I love Meshuggah, so I love chugs.
When did you start playing music?
I was 15 when I first picked up a guitar. I actually got it from a friend. He loaned me his guitar. He goes, you could borrow it, and I took it and painted it and made it cool, put new strings on it and played it and learned like a little bit like electric as my first electric guitar, and gave it back to him all nice, and was like he let me borrow it for like 6 months, and then I got my own after that, and I was in a band after that, like pretty relatively shortly.
Okay.
But I mean, I first got into music as a vocalist, not even playing guitar.
Okay.
In a punk band, I was doing vocals. Well, actually, my first punk band, I was playing bass. And then I started doing vocals for a hardcore band, or an emo hardcore band, I guess, if you want to consider it that. It was a long time ago, because I was screaming and singing. I didn't know any other bands.
Screaming and singing. That girl that you showed me the video of.
Oh, the girl from Ginger.
Oh.
Yeah, she's amazing.
That's crazy. Sorry, I just had a flashback of watching that video.
Yeah. Tell me she isn't the best. Yep. So screaming and singing, and then I was in a band that got pretty big. Like I'll never forget this story. Like the band was called For the Love Of, and I was at a party like 6 or 7 towns away from my town, and they couldn't believe who I was. They needed to see my ID. Like you're the singer for The Love Of.
Oh really?
No way. Like they couldn't believe it. They were freaking out.
Yeah.
So it's like that. Like
they fangirling.
yeah, right. Or I don't know. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it was cool to be like,
I see you.
like, the popular kid or something. Whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, because I'm just me,
Yeah.
But when you lay stuff down like I was doing it, I was doing shows, I was playing a lot of shows, and we had a recording. People heard it, people bought it. It came and saw us, and I don't know. It's just back then it was different though, and like the mid '90s.
Yeah.
People actually respected music more. Like you
I
didn't
agree.
have all these things, all these platforms to listen to music on, where it just goes in one ear and out the other. Nothing sticks. People like bought the CD and they looked at the lyrics and they read them all and they took it to heart. They took that to heart. Yeah. So.
Do you like when you're making music, a song? Do you write lyrics too?
I do write lyrics.
Do you like lyrics better or the instruments or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both. And it depends on the type of music. So I might like the lyrics to a band that sing more, like Killswitch Engage. But I also like the riffs and the music. So it's really it's a tie.
Okay.
I don't think I ever really said I like one or the other more than.
You're just pretty much in love with it as a whole.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is really cool because you do this and then you do your other stuff and you're pretty much just in love with all of it fully. Which I just made a post yesterday about how it's so much easier to sell what you love.
Exactly.
Because not that you're selling, I mean, you could sell your music. You have sold your music.
Yeah.
But you're not, does that make sense when I say sell what you love?
Yeah.
Because you're not a salesperson, but you still have to sell your services to people.
Right.
And it's so much easier to do that when you're doing something you love.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like,
No.
I can sell my studio time or my rap time
Because you love it.
I love doing it.
And it's so much easier to share your message. Maybe I should say share your message.
Yes.
But it's still selling because you're making money off of it. And if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier if you believe in what you're doing and back it with love.
Right.
To sell it or share the message of it.
I look at it like I'm just spending my time, my quality time, correctly. Like, because I know I love doing what I love to do, and if somebody wants to share my passion with me and they want to join me in this adventure that I can go on because I can give them a service that they want to pay me for, but at the same time, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. And they're going to have fun with you while you do it.
That's right. Let's go for this ride.
Which is also a really cool experience, and that's why I think I like doing. I think I'm such a fit for my clients, my aligned clients, because it's going to be fun for both of us on the journey. Like, it's not, when people work with me, I don't know if you feel the same, it's not like a headache. Yeah. It's enjoyable.
Right.
It's not because I'm enjoyable, it's just because I love what I do so much. It makes it more fun.
Right.
It makes it more fun for me to share it.
Right. It's just a collision of passion.
Yes. It's fun. So, yeah, that's cool. I don't know. Is there anything else I should ask you that I didn't ask you?
Well,
I mean, I could keep asking you. I just feel like I'm taking up too much of your time.
No, that's fine. This is time well spent.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting.
Well,
things to think about.
Maybe you could ask me about skateboarding.
I was going to ask you about skateboarding, but I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it or
I
not.
would talk about skateboarding all the time. I love skateboarding.
So you started skateboarding when you were younger than when you started music?
Yes. I started skateboarding at probably like around 8. 7.
Really?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
You're still pretty good at it, too.
Yeah, I could still push around.
On a little baby skateboard of my daughter's.
Yeah, I could still do a kickflip,
I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's great. I think you did it when I saw me.
The board spins this way and you land back on it.
Oh, okay.
So it does a little twist.
Okay.
Kickflip.
So, yes, we'll talk about skateboarding in a second, but in relation to skateboarding and music and what you do now, you're just pretty much a creative person as a whole.
I like to.
Because I feel like skateboarding is also creative.
Absolutely.
It's like an art.
It's like the dark horse of like us growing up. Like people were in school, they were like, "Oh, I want to play football. I want to play baseball. I want to play soccer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Well, I was like, I'm going to go skateboard.
Yeah.
And the best part about it was I didn't have to listen to anybody, and I can do anything I wanted on it. And it didn't matter. I didn't have to be judged.
Yeah.
And the only thing, and that, you know what, that right there, the tool of using a skateboard for fun and exercise, that was probably the biggest component that launched me into being the healthiest I've ever was, because I had a desire to be better at skateboarding. And I just got on this kick where I would eat only nothing but smoothies, light as a feather. I would drink a gallon of water a day and try to land any trick in the world I could. And that, I think, because I wanted to be.
And that's what worked for you. Yeah. That's what I try. So this is maybe going to be off topic, but initially when you said you would only drink smoothies, I immediately got judgmental of that.
Why?
Because as a trainer, we're trained to teach people to eat a certain type of way. But the way I practice is different, but I still have that mentality sometimes where I'm like, oh no, you can't, you have to do it this way. But what I do is try to tell clients to go off their intuition and what works for them. So like, for instance, keto worked for you, or at that time doing smoothies worked for you.
Well, it wasn't absolutely the thing. I did have oatmeal, and I did have like dinners.
Yeah.
But healthy.
Yeah.
Like most of the time, it was like vegetarian food.
And that's just what worked for you at the time.
I had a lot of vegetarian friends at the time, so I'd go to like places to eat like that.
You know what's so funny is that people think that there's like a stigma against skateboarders.
Why?
Did you ever notice it?
Not really.
No? Like, skateboarders are people that listen to hardcore music.
They do.
There's
I'm one of them.
There's a stigma against it, I feel like. Like a mentality that they're, I don't know. Do you never notice that?
Like they're just sort of the
like
kid with
punks.
Like punks that won't listen
Don't
to
give
you.
a shit about their bodies. They probably are doing a bunch of drugs.
Well, I'll say maybe 95% of the people are like that. But I just happen to be the straight edge one, right?
So they are out there.
Oh yeah, they're out there. There's
not
punks
that they're
bad.
Out there. You're bad if you're not.
No, I just happen to be a different cut of that, right?
Like this song, I don't know. There's just so many. I used to be like a little punk rock girl when I was in middle school,
right?
And it was like frowned upon to be with like a skate boy. Well, I don't know why it has anything to do with it. I just had that realization that you are nothing like what I was raised to believe, that people that skateboard and listen to hardcore music and are artistic act or are like.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, because most of the skateboarders out there don't give a crap. They are dunce caps, weed smoking, beer drinking, not giving a shit person with a shitty personality. But maybe they fall into the skateboard as the love of their life, and that's all they really care about, and that's why they get really good and just stay passionate.
Which is what you did, you feel like?
Well, but I didn't really do that other part. I just kind of was like...
I know, but you loved it, and you were passionate about it, and you wanted to be better, to be a better skateboarder.
Yes, to be a better skateboarder. I did. I followed the route of just trying to be a better me.
Yeah.
To be a better skateboarder.
Okay.
So, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It was nothing but strawberry, banana, 5 ice cubes, spirulina. I used creatine too. I loved it. It worked for me.
Which is...
It did.
I know. It's so fine. And it's so funny because we have this... I don't like creatine in a smoothie. I don't like it. It makes me feel weird.
Burst energy. And that's exactly what you need for skateboarding. You have these snap events that you need a lot of energy for.
But it works for you.
Yeah, it did.
So I think that when I got that thought earlier of judgment, I forgot that I let myself go to the normal mentality of a trainer that you have to eat a certain way and do this, this, and this, as opposed to what my mentality is, that everything is different for every body and every person.
That's right.
And it's what makes them feel good. Like, this is maybe off topic, but what I do with my health coaching clients is I have them write down their food, which I call fuel, as opposed to food.
I like that.
So they look at it from a different frame.
Right.
and then the feeling next to it.
Okay.
Not like how many calories it is or
I love that.
any nutritional fact about it. And it doesn't have to be, I don't believe food is good or bad. I think food is just food. It's fuel. And if it makes you feel like it's serving you,
Right.
great. If it doesn't, let's reevaluate it and maybe eat something else.
I really, really
and
like that.
maybe that day it didn't make you serve you, but maybe tomorrow it will. Like a piece of cake. Maybe today a piece of cake did serve me. Maybe tomorrow it won't serve me. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But so I do the feeling associated with the fuel.
That's cool.
And then you can go back and look at like, okay, so it made me feel really bloated and it made me feel lethargic. Or
McDonald's.
that same piece of cake or hamburger from McDonald's made me feel really energized, or that salad or that steak made me feel really energized. It just gives you a different perspective as opposed to looking at food as good or bad.
Yeah.
And then also gives you a frame of reference that this food really served my body and this food didn't really serve my body. So maybe I'm going to eat more of the food that serves my body and then in turn lose weight or in turn feel better or in turn have more energy.
Right. And you know
that
what?
Makes sense.
It does. And that's one of the reasons why I like your style, is because when you taught me like last week about you're not having a cheat day, you're having a relaxed day.
Yeah.
I was like, I like the way you think. You have a really good way to make you believe in yourself. I like how you reformat.
Yeah.
I think it's
Thanks.
golf clap.
It's definitely not in that it's a different way to reframe it because it's not cheating. You're not cheating on yourself.
Right.
You're just relaxing. And then you get this bad feeling around this food that shouldn't even have a feeling attached to it because it's food. And then you feel guilty and then it just is a cycle, a vicious cycle that does not serve anybody at any time in their lives. And if you can just look at it as like, okay, so I relaxed today. Okay, that's so much better than healthier and to me than looking at it as cheating because you're not cheating.
Right.
You just feel like shit about yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And you shouldn't feel like shit about yourself for eating something
Right.
or for not going to the gym one day. Because if for the most part you're doing things that are serving you and making you feel better, then you're doing a really fucking good job. Yeah. In my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, back to skateboarding. Anyway, we went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
I can do that sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else happened with skateboarding?
Oh, well, I was sponsored by a skate shop.
What does that mean?
That means I was able to...
I only know what it means because you told me the story, but...
I was able to get skateboards and some stuff and clothes and stuff like that for free. Like, you know, I got flow.
And then you would use that at skating events?
Yeah, I'd put on demos. Like, I put on demos with, like, Zoo York and our skate shop. It was called Subculture.
Okay.
It was in Roselle Park in New Jersey.
Okay.
I think they might still be open, actually. But the owners are awesome. And yeah, I was on flow for like 3 or 4 years. I almost rode for Five Borough, which is like a sister company of the guys from Zoo York, basically.
Okay.
It's like a New York-based, Manhattan-based skateboard thing. And yeah, actually qualified to skate in the Warped Tour 1 year.
Yeah.
The Vans Warped Tour. I don't know if I ever told you that.
You did.
Yeah, so yeah, that was like another thing. That was like a bigger thing that happened in my skateboarding
Yeah,
world,
that's
so.
sweet.
Yeah, but I do have a skateboard video on my YouTube channel. It's just some cuts of me skating back in the day.
So, what's your YouTube channel?
Rapmaster.art.
And what can you find on your YouTube channel?
Some of my music I made and my skate video and some of the older bands I was in doing vocals. And playing guitar.
Yeah.
So music and skateboarding.
So, and new things are going to come in the future.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
That we talked about that you have to start doing, maybe, if you want to. So people can find you on YouTube?
Yep. They can find me.
Rapmaster.art.
Yep.
And
it's funny because I'm trying to use that across all my platforms. It's my website, but also at the same time, it's my my channel name or my handle. For
who recommended you change your channel name on YouTube?
Somebody named Callie, I think.
She must be pretty good at branding.
Yeah, not bad.
Should probably hire her as a business strategist.
Maybe I'll make her my My VR or VA.
VA.
That's it.
No, your business strategist.
Okay, yeah, she's my BS.
Yeah, you're basically. So if people want to find you, they can find you on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yep.
It's all rapmaster.art, except Facebook is rapmaster.
Yeah, I believe that's
Because you can't. I mean, you guys could do rapmaster.art. I don't know how to play with that. Yeah.
Just Rapmaster. If you look up
Just
Rapmaster,
look up Rapmaster, it'll
you're
come
gonna
up.
find me. Yeah, you'll find me. Peek into my life a little bit.
So if people are interested in making music or doing any kind of production with recording anything really, or they need any kind of graphic art, like not just logos and things for business. Like you made a design that we need to print actually for Christmas, which is next week, which is we're getting behind. For my daughter, of a picture that she wanted to create. Like she just made it out of nothing.
So I can work with a 6-year-old or a 99-year-old. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I can get it done.
So what's the best way to contact you if people want to work with you?
I guess it would be, you can email me at rapmaster@outlook.com.
WRAP.
That's right. MASTER at outlook.com.
Okay.
Or you can just throw me a text. 239
You can say your phone number.
823-9272.
You're much more free with your phone number than I am
It's
with
a
mine.
business phone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's fine. I always try to answer my phone. Rapmaster, how can I help you? I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So, you know, or go to my website, rapmaster.art. And if you have an idea that you want to share with me, you can actually click, there's a little red button, and you can give me some details on whatever job you want me to work on for you.
I would highly encourage anybody that's listening to this that needs any kind of art done, or wants to listen to good music to go to your YouTube channel or find you online somehow.
I have a SoundCloud too.
Because you do a SoundCloud.
I do have a SoundCloud.
Rapmaster?
You know what?
Or that's Corrector Studios.
That's Corrector Studios.
That's Corrector Studios. So if you want to listen to music through SoundCloud, you can go to Corrector Studios. But if you're interested at all, I really encourage anybody to go and just look at your work that you've already done, that you've shared. Because I'm not biased at all, but I think it's really good.
Thank you.
And it's easy to work with you, I feel like, for people.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You as well. It's very easy to work with you and talk to you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I try sometimes.
I kind of knew that we'd have a special thing ever since the day I saw you.
Yeah.
Since the first day I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say I'm just special?
Yeah.
I mean, I would keep talking to you, but Molly's watching my kid, and I feel really guilty.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up.
I know.
How do we wrap it up? Is there an outro music?
So normally I just say, I don't know why I'm telling. Now everybody on this podcast knows exactly what I plan out before podcast. But no, I just asked the question, which I already asked you about. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you? Usually people say no. You pretty much asked me everything.
Okay.
But you challenged me, which I like.
That's what I do.
And then I tell people where they can find you. And I think we've got all those platforms out.
Yep.
And then is there anything you want to share lastly about anything at all?
My life is a dream. I love every moment of it. It's only been getting better. Everyone around me is amazing. Everyone makes me feel like I am special, and I'm gaining a new passion to be alive each and every day that I live.
That's a really nice thing to say and feel.
It does.
And believe.
It does feel good.
Yeah. I like that. It's a lot of gratitude, which was my spiritual awakening, was practicing gratitude. But I'll get to that another day. I actually have an idea for another podcast with you.
Okay.
But I can't talk to you about it on this podcast.
Keep it under wraps.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
got to be a surprise.
Cool.
But anyway, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
And thank you guys for listening
Yep, thank you
to
so much.
this episode of Healing Whole the podcast and letting me mix a little bit of business in with healing and art and creativity and this podcast is going to be a lot more than just holistic healing. It's going to be healing in a lot of different avenues and be related to a lot of different parts of my life and the lives of others. It's past my bedtime. I'm starting to catch my words are getting tired. But anyway, thank you again, and we will check you out next time on the next episode of Healing Whole Podcast.